hit it.
All right, cool. Yeah. Are we going? Are we live?
Yeah,
I hear you.
Oh, hey. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Totally Local Podcast. Oh, the theme. Don't worry about the theme song. It's okay. We'll dub it in later.
I know. I was expecting some cheery welcome music. What's going on today? Oh, we're not starting the year off great at all. I don't like this.
We already started the year off.
Ah.
This is like episode 3 of the year. Was it episode 1 of the year?
Yes.
Oh, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
It's season 2, episode 3, but it is the first podcast of the year. Anyway, as always, I'd like to obviously welcome Leo here as my co-host, and I don't know if you're supposed to do the guest and then the co-host, or the co-host and the guest, but our guest, first one, 2019, hitting it with meaning and passion. We're having our first guest, Michael DeGeorge. Mike DeGeorge, Michael.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Excited to be the first guest.
Yeah. Of DeGeorge Realty.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna get into it today.
Let's do it.
How much time do you have?
I'm good. I'm at your mercy. Let's do this.
All right. So first of all, I want to say congratulations. You're an uncle as of
day.
today.
Oh, congratulations.
Big day.
So
Yeah.
your niece, nephew.
Niece.
She will forever go down in history as being born on the day of this wonderful
On the
podcast.
podcast day.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
man.
So
amazing.
here you go. I actually, believe it or not, had a podcast in 2006.
Wow.
And my nephew was born, and he was like a baby.
How many
obviously.
siblings you have?
I have 2. I have a younger and an older. And my older brother had my nephew, and he was on the podcast as well. So, when the baby can get in here, we can interview the baby.
Right in here.
I'm sure they have a lot of questions.
I'll find questions to ask about to anybody.
Dear baby.
I want to talk to that baby.
So let's we're gonna bop around.
Yeah.
But it's totally local podcast. If I didn't say that already. And yeah, it's a little hot in here.
It is a lot.
We're getting hot button issues. It's gonna get a little steamy.
It's gonna get heated.
Heated debates. So basically,
Well, I mean, what we do on the show is we're talking about things that are local, right?
Totally.
So what we want to do is we want to bring people in who know about the area, who work in the area, who have that expertise, and we want to talk about their lives and what they do. So that's exciting. I'm excited that we have our first one of the year in, and let's so how do we kick this off? What
I usually do is I usually start off with the origin story, and then we just go completely off topic. So, where are you from? You're from the area.
I am.
Where are you from? Where are you from? Long Branch?
So I was originally born in Toms River.
Uh-huh.
I grew up as a kid in Toms River. I'd gone to high school in Toms River. Right after high school, I'd moved to Long Branch. I started going to Brookdale.
Uh-huh.
And then eventually went to Monmouth, and I stayed in Long Branch for about 15 years.
So you're Monmouth County, Ocean County.
That's it. I'm LB and TR.
Where'd you go high school? Did you go to Shore Regional?
No, Toms River.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So you followed in the family legacy of real estate.
Something like that. Something like that.
What would you say? Are you like residential, commercial? You bop around or what?
So we're a pretty good mix. So when I started initially, I got my license. I was a kid. I was only I was maybe 20.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been doing this
It's
my
like
whole
the
life.
best. Somebody like your dad or somebody was just like, get your license now.
It was I had moved to Miami. I was kind of back and forth.
Oh,
I came back
boy.
to Jersey.
You moved to Miami.
I did.
And then one day you woke up
I said I gotta get
3 a.m. in some hot tub.
Said, if
champagne
I don't leave
bottles.
If I don't leave this city, I'm gonna die here. So I came back to Jersey.
That's what happens. That's what happened to me. I left and I was like, these people aren't normal. I got to get back to Jersey.
Yeah.
Something ain't right.
It wasn't right.
So what made you say, that this is what you wanted to do with your life? Like what made you find this as your passion?
It's interesting. I had been around it my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
My family, growing up as a kid, my family were commercial builders. So they built, retail buildings, shopping malls, banks, things like that. And, my whole life I had done, I was the cleanup kid. So I was at every job sweeping up, and I did that kind of nonsense.
So you like learn from osmosis just from being there?
You don't even realize it. And at the time, as I got old enough, it was just something that was second nature to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something I was around all the time. So it was very easy to transition right to that. What we do now is a little bit different. When I first started, I had worked for a company in Wall. It was called Karen Realty. Great guy, Harvey Karen, that ran it, and basically took me in as a mentor. And
That's awesome.
He had done pretty much all commercial development. A lot of it was land development. It was single family lots, subdivisions, things like that. And even that, at the time when I was doing it, I had got on, and they were doing big projects. They had some multi-hundred unit projects going on that I would have never been able to get into myself. I would have never been able to kind of experience myself.
Yeah.
So I spent the first couple years basically doing legwork. I would run around for the things that they needed. When they needed things going to an attorney, when they needed things going to an engineer, when somebody had to go on the site and take pictures of this or go here. I did a lot of that. And at the time, it wasn't something that, it was almost like Mr. Miyagi-ish.
Yeah.
I didn't even at
Bring
the
it
time
back to
realize
Karate Kid. That's the thing too, because I did commercial real estate for a while, for a short time, and it's like really, really friggin' difficult. If you don't like, first of all, you're not working on, like, it's commission based. It's based on what you're earning. So it's I would say, a lot better of a transition if you're kind of working in it without working in it,
Sure.
like you were doing.
You're not walking into it.
Yeah, so I did it for like maybe like 6 months, and I was like fish out of. I was like, I do not like. Everyone knows what they're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's tough. It's not a walk into kind of thing.
I did a couple. It is nice though. It's like sort of like, because my mom does residential real estate, so like it's sort of like, in a way, it's sort of like gambling, because once you hit big, like once you get the deal, like I got a few, and it's like it's freaking awesome.
It's awesome.
It's
Your
sweet.
mom's a residential agent?
Oh yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
Nice.
She definitely, she's been doing it for, I don't know, since the early 80s, since I was a little kid.
No kidding.
Yeah. She used to work for Bars Real Estate in the Highlands.
Yeah.
Shout out. I don't think they're around anymore. It's too bad. That's another thing. Props to you and your family, because a lot of these real estate agencies are kind of selling out to these big corporate agencies, and I don't think it's, from my experience, because I've worked with a lot of agents, it's not as good for the agent. They promise you a lot of stuff that they don't deliver. They say their technology is all up to date and stuff, but it's not. And you don't have that like personal feel. And then when you go around, you don't see, like, you'll see a sign, and it's just it doesn't have that like local vibe to it,
I agree.
So I mean, I think that's great. And kind of what we were saying before, as far as learning, you learned it on the job, and then you kind of just walked right into it, huh?
So I was going to Monmouth. It was like 2000. I want to say it was 2007 at the time, and I was still working for this company. I'd been there about 7 years, and at that time I said, I'm going to go get my broker's license. I went to school for that. I started the schooling and got it done.
Oh, that's like next boss level.
And it was something
license.
different. I was still going to school, and I was still working at the time. Actually, I had funny is I had at the time got into Monmouth University had a real estate program.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah, it was the initial years of when it first started, and I was lucky enough. I didn't go to Monmouth. I never actually was a Monmouth student, but they had granted me special access to get into the program, so
Nice.
I was able to take it for 2 years. So I was local to the area. I was working in the business.
Totally local.
Totally local.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. And yeah, so I was in the business, and at the time I said, you know what. Going out on our own, it was worth a shot to try.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah, we started out doing college rentals. We were doing seasonal Long Branch rentals, college rentals.
That's
our
a
first
hustle.
year. Yeah, it was crazy. And by the next year, we picked up a few listings. We had picked up a couple agents. And now, 10 years later, we snowballed into... We're mostly a residential company. We do mostly about 90% of what our agents do are residential. Myself and maybe one other person that does all commercial.
Oh, so did you started the business, or your family started the business?
No,
or?
it's just me. Yeah,
Oh,
my
wow.
brother and my father have a
props.
construction company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
props if I was rich.
Props. No, I mean that's like.
I started it 11 years ago this year.
So what's a day in like your life look like? The average day, what are you doing? What are you getting up?
A good thing about this business is, and a big reason that it attracted me to it is it's different every day.
Okay.
I'm usually, depending on what I'm working on at the time, what deals I'm working on is going to dictate where I'm going, what I'm doing. Right now, so we had an office in Long Branch on Brighton Ave. Shout out to Long Branch.
Shouts.
Huge fan. Police Appreciation Day, LBPD. I was in Long Branch. We had an office there. The storm, Sandy, came, and we were right on Brighton Ave by the ocean. We ended up, our office got wrecked.
Wow.
Yeah, we took, within the first couple hours of the storm, a huge piece of wood from one of the larger buildings flew right through our window. Nobody knew it. By the end of the next day, the store was trashed. The office was trashed.
Wow.
So we ended up fixing it, getting everything back together. And crazy enough, it was about a few months after the storm, and I'm on Brighton Ave, and I see smoke coming out of one of the neighboring buildings. And it was a building I had listed at the time. Oh, God.
Completely safe. You got to buy this building. It's ready to move in.
God.
No chance of a fire at all.
It was vacant, too. Thank God. I look out the street, and I see this building smoking. And by the end of the day, 10 buildings on Brighton Ave had burned down. There was like 15 apartments.
Shit.
And it cleaned out half the street. And,
This was after Sandy?
After Sandy.
Wow.
So it basically made the street that we were on a little difficult to be doing any kind of
No
retail
foot
business.
traffic.
I mean, it was minimal.
No one's walking by looking at the
There was like
listing.
smoldering ashes next to me.
You want a building?
So around that time, a couple years ago, we opened up an office in Brick, where our family's business is, and we closed Long Branch a few months later, and now basically our main offices are in Brick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good, because Brick is popping. If people don't know, that's what we're going to get into in a second is Market Watch, because I don't know why, and no offense to every Ocean County member, but it's like when people mention like Brick or something, they're like Brick is in Ocean County, right? Yeah. So they'll be like it's Brick, but it's really close. It's close to Monmouth County. I'm like, you don't have to say that anymore. Yeah. Ocean County, even though it's the dirty South, it's the dark, dirty South of the two counties that are in central New Jersey.
It's
but
a whole other world.
It is, but I mean, it's part Monmouth County and Ocean County are kind of.
I mean, if you stay north of Tom's River, you at least stay into some regular areas.
That's what the logo. I believe somebody this weekend at a soiree I was attending said the logo looked like a used dish rag or something, but it's actually Monmouth and Ocean County behind the totally local, so that's what it is, because I consider that totally local, anything outside of that
County in there.
Yeah, it's like anything outside of that, I'm like, I don't know you, I don't know anything about you, I don't know about your world, but you're too weird.
I think I remember those comments.
Yeah. He was you had a couple sips of whatever you were sipping, and whoever you were talking to was talking some
I think I was also for New Year's. I think we brought in the New Year's together, and I had some comments about that.
You always have comments.
Well,
when you get a couple drinks, you're like, theme song sucks, the logo sucks.
Well, today it sucked for sure. I didn't even hear
That
it.
was all. That was all. I don't know the setup, so I can't really.
Who knows? It maybe it's probably edited in.
He was asking me if I had. I think he has it on his other computer, but whatever. We'll dub it in later. It's a great. It's a great theme song. But
Who wrote the theme song?
I did.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic. It's based off of an old band I was in. It's sort of a remix. Anyway, it's a story for another time.
It's not worth it.
How dare you? So, anywho, that I think Market Watch, Brick, it's a hot place to be. What are the property values down there? Is it worth it? Is it worth buying in Brick?
I mean, what do you think, houses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brick is a great market. Brick and Tom's River are great markets. I mean, even if you go a little bit south and you go to Bayville.
Bayville's pop.
Forked River.
That's Forked River is where it gets like, I don't know about
That's your
Forked
cutoff.
River.
I mean, look, Forked River.
You get cheap houses down there, though.
That's what Tom's River was 20 years ago.
How far is Forked River?
It's 76 in the Parkway.
And even I have a love-hate relationship with the name, because I'm like, you can't really say Forked River.
No.
Sounds weird.
Call it Lacey.
Lacey?
Yeah.
Lacey Township?
Lacey Township.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely expanding to where when I was a youngster and you'd think about like outside of, the Red Bank, Asbury Park was considered like, wow, that's like, where the hell are you?
Yeah.
But now it's
you
kind
were
of
a kid.
Yeah, but now it's like expanded. And I look at towns like, for example, Bradley Beach. I know this is very exciting. Leo got mad at me last time because I was talking about taxes, paying taxes on your property.
I wasn't the only one.
Oh, well, you were the only one that listened and got mad. My wife got mad. She's like, you were talking about our taxes? I'm like, yeah. You can't talk about our personal. I'm like, why not?
Leo, you rent in Asbury or you own something?
Rent.
Yeah? How much?
I'm going to sell you a house right now.
I know. We're going to see how it all works right here live. $12.50.
On a 1-bedroom?
2.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's like a home run for Asbury.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I will be there until.
Good for you.
Until it's necessary to leave. Yeah,
I've seen
so
crazy numbers at Asbury. Somebody was showing me a 1-bedroom. It was $2,500.
yeah,
yeah.
they're
So
getting.
where you living?
It's pretty crazy.
Well, and that's what, like, okay, so the last time there was the big real estate boom, and everybody's trying to predict shit, but newsflash, you're never going to hear anything on the news that's worth a damn about real estate and what you should and shouldn't do. That's just my opinion, but I'm pretty much right, so you should listen to me.
Sure.
But as far as the as far as the market goes, it was like a year ago, 2 years ago, it was crazy. It was at the height of a seller's market where you could put your house out and get a good deal on it, and that hasn't happened since 10 years ago.
It's very 2003-ish.
Yeah, so as of right now, it seems like it's kind of shifting where the inventory. Is the inventory there, or is the inventory not really there, and then the buyers aren't there? Like,
No, you're 100% right. It a few months ago, I mean, inventory was a lot lower a few months ago with demand being a lot higher. It's not that inventory is that high now. The market is still in a great place. Numbers are still pretty good.
yeah.
It's just a matter of really what's out there and finding something that's suitable, because in a lot of cases there's not a lot out there right now.
The thing that I've heard over the years too, that I've seen, firsthand, obviously, because my mom's a real estate agent, is what do you do? Somebody's selling their house, and you look at the house and you're like, all right, that house is worth $250,000, and they come to you and they say, this house is beautiful. It's my house. I was born in this house,
Everyone
raised in
says
this house. $350,000. What do you say to somebody that is so out of their gourd when it comes to the price of their house?
You really want to know?
I do. I really want to know.
I get more business by telling people that I'm not the realtor for them.
Wow.
Yep, it's crazy.
Because you tell them, like,
I'll say, look, I'm not. You want someone that's going to tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
I don't want to waste my friggin' time.
Wow.
I only get paid if I sell it.
That's great.
So I mean, the concept as a young agent, it's different. When you're a young agent, you're happy to get a listing. You want to have your name on something. You want to be able to parlay that into 2 other listings or 2 other sales. At my point, I can't waste my time. And I'll tell people, I'll say, look, I'm not the guy for you. You don't want me. And you know what's crazy is that makes them even more eager to say, well, what do you mean? Why? Right. And I say, look, you need someone that's going to tell you just what you want, and I don't have that kind of time to waste.
Yeah. And then, boom, they've just been DeGeorge.
And then it takes them 6 months to have it sit on the market and have nothing happen. And I'll say, look, this is the price that you want. In 6 months, we're going to be great friends, and we're going to be sitting here at this table and having the exact same conversation, because, being realistic and what you want are 2 different things.
Right.
So what do you do, too? Like, somebody puts their house on the market and it doesn't sell right away, and they ask you, like, what are you doing to sell? What are you doing to sell my house? Because, you could market it, you could advertise it, you could get a friggin', an airplane going by with the listing on it in the summer. But, like, bottom line is, as far as selling it, you put it in the MLS, you let people know it's available. And beyond that, like, what should somebody expect when they're selling a house? Like, what should a real estate agent be doing for them?
I mean, as an agent, you really just want to be able to get traffic in the door. A lot of things now, an agent that's going to list your house, you want to have somebody that's going to come in and say, all right, look, I'm going to do an open house to get the public in, which really isn't anything. Open houses are...
Do people stop by?
You get neighbors that come and sniff your underwear drawers. It's just, I don't know. You do an open house more for the homeowner themselves to make them feel better. Chances are your buyer's not just strolling in from your neighbor.
Agents pop through, maybe, check it out?
No, so then you do a broker open house. So you'll do a weekday, a lunch, you invite all the brokers that let them come through. Let them come tour the house. Let them come and fill out a little information form for the seller that says, look, your price is right. Here's what you should be doing. Here's what your landscaping is. Here's what's lacking.
Oh, so that's nice.
So then I can go to the owner with 5 other people and say, look, here's the feedback from 5 other agents that are in this market that came by. That's one of your better things. Another big thing that they do now that I get a lot of results out of is caravans. So they'll have companies like a title company that'll basically say, we're going to host a caravan, we're going to put 15 agents on a bus, and we're going to go tour 10 houses. 15, 20 agents. They start off at a bar, they do a happy hour, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And,
do that.
I want to go.
But that at least gets people in the door. And the more agents you can get walking through the house, is going to give you a benefit when someone says to that agent, "Hey, I'm looking for X," and they're going to go, "I was just in something that was, just like that." That's probably gets you better results than most other things you're going to have that when it comes to advertising, mailers. I mean, we do mailers, we do flyers. You can put, a Homes and Land magazine. There's a few different things, but what I would tell you that gets results is getting agents through the door, getting some people in the door, and pricing things right.
And like networking, it's about like getting the word out there.
That's it.
Because that's what people want to know what you're doing, and it's so funny. Like getting yourself known out there as a real estate agent is number one, and then as far as the listings go, all you could do is try to find whoever would be interested in.
That's it. Who's suiting for it?
You know?
If you know that it gears towards a certain market, push it to that market. I mean, I have certain properties that I would gear towards certain people. I mean, I know that that's the area that they want. If it's in Long Branch, if it's in by the ocean, whatever the case may be, you want to be able to market to people that are looking for that product.
What do you do about, for example, Seabright is like a tiny blip in the giant scheme of Monmouth and Ocean County, and there's not a lot of real estate there. Everybody wants to live there, except they don't realize that a giant tidal wave is going to come, and there's not going to be a Seabright anymore.
God, I think about Seabright a couple years ago, how that looked after the storm.
Yeah.
That was gone.
Yeah, my mom lived there. It was insane. It was like the apocalypse hit. It was
Sand was literally 6 feet high.
Yeah, on like the highway, like it was just gone. And I'm saying, like it's like a Point Break. The storm's gonna come back. Bodie's gonna be riding the wave, and it's gonna be going right over Seabright, right into Highlands. So like, what do you like when people want to buy in Seabright and there's no houses there, and they really want to buy? They're like an empty nester. They want a second home, something like that. Is there a way of like recommending other places to them?
Yeah, go live in Long Branch. Go live in Monmouth Beach or Long Branch.
Yeah. All right. So that's what you would kind of recommend.
I mean, if you're in Seabright, you're very specific. If you want to live in Seabright, where else are you going to go? Bradley Beach. You're going to go to Ocean Gate. Places that are very close in the sense of Seabright is a cool little niche town.
You can walk places.
It's an
get
awesome
stuff.
place. Yeah, I mean everything's right there. It's got basically the strip of Ocean Ave is everything that the town offers.
They share the zip code of Rumson, but they do not get the respect Rumson gets. No. It's really not fair. They can't. The children that live in the kids that live in Seabright can't go to Rumson High School.
Where do kids in Seabright?
They go to friggin' they go to Shore Regional, which doesn't make any sense. It's all those upper crusties over in Rumson.
Yeah, we can't just get those guys at the shore.
Yeah. So it was pretty messed up when I learned that. Anyway, one town that has always fascinated me is Bradley Beach, because I look at it. I lived there for a while, and the houses were worth. Like, they were so cheap in the 90s, and then now they're like $500,000.
That's crazy.
So
even in the beginning 2000s.
Could you predict, like, I mean, you can't predict it, but is there a way of saying, like, hey, this town is like worth nothing right now, but it'll, because there's nowhere else to live. We're overpopulated. The world is,
I mean, look at Asbury.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years ago, you couldn't even go near Asbury.
I keep saying Keansburg is like ready because it's right in the bay. It's gross. Like, no offense, but it's gross.
There's a few cool towns up there.
There's I'm just saying that the property value is very low. It's right on the bay. There's these big houses being built right on the water, and then there's all these little shanties with like, a lot of nefarious activity going on that it's eventually going to get cleaned up.
Stigma changes. Anything like that, times change. Like, if you think of even the Long Branch oceanfront, it wasn't only a couple of years ago. You couldn't even walk down there. You couldn't even go. I used to walk my dog on the boardwalk. I had a Doberman. And that was the only reason I would go there, be able to walk him. It was crazy. Asbury, same thing. I used to surf out in front of Stone Pony, and I couldn't even leave my car for an hour. I had to park at Stone Pony where kids I knew worked, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna go surf for an hour, just watch my car. You could, and now it's $2,500 for a one-bedroom apartment.
It's ridiculous.
But you know what? Through the years, when that all started coming, I mean, you could see that town was where it was gonna go. You get a couple of local large guys that have the capabilities to do these things, and you put a couple of them together and they came up with a pretty decent plan that worked.
Making deals, making it work, making it happen. So, in the case of Asbury Park, and I've probably talked about this before on the podcast, but luckily nobody was listening. So, my father, there's a certain generation that knows Asbury Park from back in the day. And
My father's the same.
He doesn't believe in Asbury Park. Like, he's like, oh, I won't make it. I'm like, there's $1 million condos on the
crazy.
water.
Hasn't it made it already?
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, do you think there's a possibility? I don't think so. I think there's so much money invested in it now that it can't go back to shuttered whatever.
It won't.
You know, I really hope to see, you know, the retail get a little more. I guess it's kind of interesting and diverse now, but I'd like it to get a little more interesting there, and in Red Bank especially, where the commercial real estate seems to be too high and there's a lot of empty. I don't know how landlords can justify just not having it open. They're paying money on it.
It's crazy.
And they're just sitting.
And they want high numbers, and then, you know, you sit with it with an empty space for a couple months and you say, all right, if I had gotten X amount more, it still wouldn't have covered me taking a loss for 5 months.
Right.
But we see that a lot where you know what's funny in real estate is if you do something too quick, they think it's too easy. You know, if I go to somebody with a tenant immediately, they second guess, and then they say they want more money. And then I've had times where I brought someone a tenant, they thought it was too quick. They wanted so much for it, and then it was vacant for a year.
Yeah.
And I'd look back and say, you could have just took this guy for
That's
a few
why
bucks less. And
I couldn't. The haggling on the phone, you tell somebody it's like, it's $30 a square foot, and then on the phone they're like, oh, I'm $15 a square. I'm like, the math doesn't work, buddy. I can't, do you want it or not? I gotta go.
Would you say that that's the hardest part of the business, is trying to kind of negotiate on those and bring people back to reality about what they actually have and what they can get?
Yeah, a big part of it. A big part of it is, you know, I spent a good lot of years in real estate through 2009, 10, 11, you know. I spent half of those years convincing people it wasn't 2006 anymore because they thought it was, you know, and people thought they had a diamond mine buried under their house. You know, they had gotten crazy offers in the highest times of the market and just couldn't understand how that didn't translate to when it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And people for years wanted so much for things, and you know, in the end they look back and say, if I took a little less, I would have a tenant, or I would have had it sold, or you know.
Add up the money you're spending every month versus like what you would have saved, and you know, it just doesn't make any sense.
People are so greedy.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, they're greedy. I mean, and that's the part of the business where I'm like, you know, you have to sell for commercial real estate. I'm sure this is similar in residential too, but like you have to sell somebody on a property, and then you don't know, like, they're going to put their business in this building, and then you're like, I don't know if it's going to work out here for them.
Oh yeah, you know, sometimes.
You know, and I'm just like, I feel bad, you know?
Definitely.
So, you know, I don't know, I never did a deal where I was like, felt dirty, I had to take a shower afterwards, but like sometimes you'd be in these situations where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Definitely.
You know, and you can't tell because you don't know.
No.
You know.
My job is to put you in front of the people and make sure that you have a deal that works. But when it comes to the businesses, I mean, I've done restaurants, I've done lots of different uses that, you know, came and went, and as they were doing them, you can see which ones you would see that become successful. You can see
restaurants are tough.
Patterns in what they're doing, and just the way that the community responds to it, that you'll know, okay, this is going to go somewhere. And you'll see ones where, you know, from day one it's a fight, and you feel for them. You know, you put everything into your business, and it's a tough pill to swallow.
I saw a business recently opened a they opened a gelato, like it was Asbury Park. It's the summer. They want to open a gelato business. It doesn't open until like after Labor Day. After Labor Day. So it's getting cold out, and they have this gelato place. And I'm like, you guys have had this leased for months.
Wow.
You know, for months. And then, like, you know, they drag their feet on this and that. And I'm like, wow, all that money that they could have just made. It's the summer. It's a summer area. So, I mean.
Could you imagine what you spend in Asbury for rents, I'm sure? You got to sell ice cream.
I remember.
It's a lot of ice cream to sell to make, you know.
I got to give kudos and props, too, to, you know, to your family, too, for putting you on the right track, because I remember before Asbury was like the big boom, before we were hanging out, I was looking at, it was like a condo apartment deal above one of the stores, and it wasn't that expensive. And my parents were like, no, this is a bad idea. This is horrible. And even if I would have gotten it, it must have been like 2000, must have been like 2010 maybe?
I would have told you it was a bad idea. Actually,
really?
By 2010, things were looking nice there, kind of. You know,
it was
getting there.
But it's still, if I would have had it, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna crap on my parents. What am I, an asshole? Could have went that way, didn't. But I'm not a real estate
10
parent.
times what you paid for it right
I
now.
could be sitting here with
Thanks,
a
Dad.
cigar,
Thanks,
laughing.
So if you didn't find
It's like that's enough.
if you didn't find this calling, this is like a lot of sales. You got to know the area. You got to get around the Jersey Shore. So what else would you be doing? Like what do you think you would have gone?
I don't know.
Game show host.
I would love to be a game show host. If I liked fishing, I would have been a fisherman, but I can't stand it.
Professional surfer?
Nah, none of that. I don't know what I would have got into. When I was young, you're from this area, right? I used to work when I was a kid. I grew up working at a place in Eatontown called Big Red Motorsports, and it was motocross. It was Kawasaki and Sea-Doo. So I did sales for them for years when I was a young kid. I would have probably stuck with that.
Like sales.
Yeah, I was running a sales department.
As long as you could get behind something and like be honest about it and really sell it to people.
See, I can't do sales in a different way. See, I can't do
like
intrusive kind of
pushy.
I can't. It's just not my style.
So what's your style? How does it work for you? What's made you such a success?
I mean, when it comes to clients, I mean, it's just a matter of being out there, being yourself. I mean, you put yourself out there and you do a good job, it'll come back to you. But I have a tough time when it comes to kind of getting into that like pushy sense of sales, and it just bothers me. I don't want to be cold called. I don't want to have that kind of mind. That I wouldn't want to do it to other people.
It's that pressure of like if it's salary based, like I was saying. So it's that pressure of like a salesman. You go in somewhere and it's like going to get a car. It's so off-putting to go in and people are just like pushing you.
See, I'm the opposite. I like to go haggle with people for a car.
I can't do it.
Oh,
I'm a doofus.
I want to break balls.
I feel so out of my element when I got my car. Like I'm pretty sure like I don't even want to think about it. It makes me sad. But like I don't know how to do any of that stuff. How you go in and you're like, what's a blue book? I'm like, what's a blue book? A red book, yellow book? I don't know. I didn't look at any book. I don't know what this is worth. I know what I could pay you and then give me a car that works. That's all I want.
No, you know what I had done? It's just because working at that kind of environment with like cars and jet skis and things, being around that. But that kind of sales is tough. Oh, it's tough being in that business.
Do you do any construction-y type work with your brother at all, or you just let him take care of all that and then you guys just?
Yeah, I mean, when we were young, we were both working, doing the same type of things, and he just was very geared toward construction. He was the kind of guy who could stay on a job all day and be on a job site, and that wasn't my thing. I was more, I needed to be interacting, so we were young, we said, look, I'm going to go this way, you're going to go this way, and we'll meet back in the middle in 10 years, and
now it's just, you guys are just kind
of... And if any deals I can get into that he can build, anything like that, if he's working on something and that needs, leasing or needs to be sold, I'm all for it, but...
So you're good with all, like, numbers and interest rates and things of that nature.
Sure.
That's where I, like, I don't want to put my cards on the table here, but I'm not, like... I've been, like I said, I've done real estate stuff, and people talk about numbers and percentages and shifting things, and that's where you lose me.
See, but that's a big difference with, like, your mom, in that circumstance, and even with, 90% of what you're dealing with residentially is not numbers oriented.
Yeah.
It's this color, it's this wall, this isn't right.
That's why the commercial stuff,
it's so different.
This is like... I remember I had to go to the Javits Center for some like convention, and I'm like, I don't fit in here. I do not fit in. Even like everyone went out, and like that's one part of it that I understood is like commercial real estate. They go to a convention and they party their balls off, and like I didn't. I like went. I was just there to learn.
I think it depends on what convention you're going to. If it's a card or sci-fi convention, I figured you would be right in there.
I would do that. But as far as the commercial real estate, I show up the next day. I show up on Saturday. Everyone's like bloodshot eyes, haggard, and I'm all like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" I'm like, "Wow, everyone was invited to a really cool party." And I wasn't, because my suit was not very expensive. But yeah, a sci-fi. I wouldn't dress up though.
Do they have like Magic the Gathering?
They do. Well, they have like tournaments, and then they have like a whole, thing around it. Like people do cosplay, and they
so people are really dressed up at these Magic the Gathering conference. Yeah. Oh wow, I gotta go.
Do you find yourself playing with little kids or adults?
Nope, he does not.
I mean,
I didn't mean that the way it came out.
Listen,
he is the little kid playing
Magic the Gathering. I've in tournaments. I've played youngsters. Yeah, I felt bad. Like it.
Are they wearing like Merlin outfits and things?
First of all, how dare you? Okay.
He
Now
has
you're just
one.
mocking. Now you're just mocking.
You know you have a Merlin outfit somewhere in your
I would
closet.
wear a Merlin. I'd wear a Merkin, and then I'd wear a Merlin over it. I would.
Merkin is
I don't.
What?
Who's Merkin?
Yes.
We'll Google it later. Don't
That's
worry.
the nerd coming out.
No. First of all, like I go and I play the card game. You know, some people dress up. And some people are younger, some people are older. I mean, you know, a 16-year-old has won the world championship, so, you know.
The card game?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
World championships.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go far. And they're putting more money into it. I don't know why we're talking about Magic the Gathering all of a sudden, but I don't really mind.
Well, speaking of hobbies, being that you work all in the area and you know the area really well, you're from here, what are some of the places that you like to go and some of the things that you like to do in your free time?
It's a tough one. Wow.
Nightlife.
Favorite town?
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I'm a dad of 2 kids, so you know I got my kids half the week, and
That's it.
that's it. You know.
You don't take your lady out to a fancy.
Yeah, but I'm an old guy. When am I going dinner? You know,
Where do you go to dinner?
Yeah, what's your
Dancing?
favorite restaurant?
You know, some restaurant wise, I would tell you
Favorite Italian restaurant?
Jimmy's in Asbury.
Oh,
Wow.
I haven't been there yet.
No,
No, Paul McCartney was there. Everybody's gone there.
it's been there for 100 years.
I know.
and they haven't changed it in 100 years.
Doesn't
So
look like it.
the
Looks exactly the same.
menu's straight up, no fancy BS.
No,
It's all
classic old school Italian.
just. So that's where to go.
Great place.
All right. All
Great
right.
place.
That's good to know. Do you hang out anywhere else in Asbury Park?
You know, the last couple of years I haven't really been in Asbury too much. There's a lot of great places there now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, people, you know, see, I guess is like Porta still a real popular place? Like those are.
It's popular to somebody.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
the
don't-
kids seem to like it.
Yeah, I don't. You know, I went there. God, I've been there in years, but the last time I went there was just too much.
Yeah, if I'm hanging out, I would go hang out in Long Branch. I hang out at Jack's,
Uh-huh.
right by the train tracks.
What about the Mix?
Mix, and so my office was next to the Mix for 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I love the guys at the Mix. You know,
Uh-huh.
Sam and Michael, they are awesome guys.
I met one of the owners over
That's a
there.
phenomenal place, the Mix. It's a
I
good
like how
crowd,
they
got great food.
They got good music too. Usually have good DJs. I haven't been there in a while though.
Yeah, that's a really good place.
So now, more importantly, you know, how many UFOs have you seen in Monmouth and Ocean County?
Let's see. That's a good question. Did you watch the speech last night?
No,
No, you didn't see the president's speech?
I get
I saw
sad.
some of the
What did he?
speech.
Why did he talk about UFOs?
No, it was the same nonsense. I'm just curious. I've been listening to Fox
It was
News all
on.
year.
I was cleaning out my closets and it was on, and I was hearing some of it. I probably got maybe 3 minutes in.
It was
before I
not. It was
just
like 4 minutes long.
Yeah,
That's it?
yeah,
It was
perfect.
Aren't they really long? Usually?
Nah, it was like 6 minutes.
They were just like pointing the finger at each other.
It
too,
was
right?
brutal.
I
Yeah.
I
And
got.
then the other ones got on
Yeah, then
after
the other
and
ones
they-
get on
they were,
and-
like talking shit. about
Like,
it.
huh? Huh?
That's all
Who
I
did it?
heard people
You did
talking.
it. You did it. Like, all right, I'm done.
I heard people, like, read people on Facebook going back and forth, and I did the dumbest thing, is I put my 2 cents in. I'm like, why? I've tried not to do this. It was like a 2018 resolution where I just wouldn't comment on, especially political
You can't.
shit.
You can't these days.
You get
I
sucked
don't have that
in.
kind of time.
Yeah, no. I started when the whole election went down. I just started unfollowing so many people on. That's kind of, I think, the death of Facebook started with all that, because
Definitely.
nobody wants to hear,
Definitely.
you know, any of the.
Go back to taking pictures of your food.
That's when I got out of Facebook. If I have to see one more chicken salad like that you made and like fancy croutons, I'm out of here.
Oh man.
But then again, I'm the guy that, you know, what do I post on pictures of my kids?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's what
That's
what Facebook has turned into. Like, it's like a photo
So
album.
it's
for
Instagram
families.
now. I mean,
Now the kids are all into the Snapchats and the
yeah,
shit. I don't understand.
I'm off social media.
What do you mean? You
Are
just
you?
have the Totally Local podcast.
And that's
Instagram.
and I only go to that. I
What
do
if-
that. I post
Yeah.
the pics from the show.
What have
and
you
the things
been?
that I-
What have you been doing? Like, we were supposed to go. I totally forgot. Friday we were supposed to go to the Lanes, and I keep forgetting it's for the show.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up hanging out at our friend's house.
We're the worst hosts of a show in which you're supposed to go around Jersey and in this area and do stuff
Well,
because
that was your kind of, you know.
that's my thing.
Yeah.
And when you want to join me, we go to meet to do it, and then we just sit there and like, hey, well, let's just have a beer.
Well, that's all you got to do.
Where are you
but
going out to interview people?
We were,
Yeah, I like to interview the owners of places, and I like to, you know, go to places. I'll go to the places you recommend next time and
That's
talk
awesome.
about it. So, yeah.
And you're out with a microphone, like
We're not there yet.
Sometimes I will just have a conversation and write it up, and then I'll take pictures and put it on the Instagram. And
Everybody wants to be. It's such a silly podcast, and people like whenever I talk about it, it's not like, oh great, I've listened to it. It's not, oh I love it. Everyone I talk to is like, I want to be on your podcast. And I'm like, what are you going to talk about? What do you got to say? I'm like, you didn't even listen to it.
Right.
My wife was like, I want to be on that. I'm like, what do you got to say? We sit here and talk to each other all the time. You want to be on here talking to me?
Bring her in.
your wife. Me and your wife would have a great conversation.
Well, I mean, sure. If you guys could touch on all the hot button issues going on,
Our
involved,
opposite
then
ends of
you
the
can.
spectrum. In a million ways.
But
I do want to know about these aliens, though. Back to the
me.
UFOs.
I'm keeping my crazy talk limited.
I had notes here on Wanake Reservoir and lizard people, but I guess we'll save it for next time.
No,
That's
but you
okay.
do have what is this week? There's a crazy celestial thing this week.
What's going on?
It's called a double red wolf moon.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
I
man,
think
this
it's
is the kind
Saturday.
of stuff my wife will tell me about. She's like, this week the planets are
She is
lined
into
up
that,
in such
you're
a
right,
most
yes.
unique way that you've never. I'm like, how could every week be this most unique?
No,
thing?
listen. I called her like 2 months ago. I hit a lotto ticket for. I hit a scratch off for $1,000, and I called your wife, and I'm like, listen. I'm like, the last 3 days I've been having some serious luck. I'm like, you got to tell me what's going on in the planets.
she was like,
so I can
actually-
look for this next time. I
Yeah.
know when this is happening.
It won't happen again for 150 years.
Yeah.
The most unique thing
Yeah, I swear she
you've
gave me
ever
some,
seen.
She gave me some specific answers. She's like, "This is in line with this and this plan." I'm like, "Perfect." I'm like,
I'm
"Just
like-
when that happens again, you tell me. I can go get some lotto."
Yeah,
tickets."
yeah.
I just want to have a
too.
conversation. I'll be talking to her. She's like, well, we can't talk about this. The alignment of the. I'm like, you can't pull this shit every single time. We have to have a conversation.
So can we get you back then to talk? We'll bring your wife in. She wants to do the show. Get you in, and it's UFOs. It's blood moons. It's lottery tickets.
God, I bought 50 lotto tickets yesterday. My niece was supposed to be born yesterday. God, so I bought so many tickets. I bought 108, 1819. Like everything through the day that had to do with that date, and she wasn't born till this morning.
I can't.
Tanked them all.
I can't. I don't know. I can't do the whole lotto thing. I just don't get it. But you
Nah.
might be on to something.
Nah, but I don't win. Nobody wins a lot. I buy
You just said you won the lotto.
Yeah, but the money I spend on scratch offs. So if I eventually win 10,000, hopefully I'll break even.
Sweet.
Wow.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I know
Better
people
off
like
buying
that.
magic cards.
Yeah, I should just be buying gathering cards and selling them.
There was a
Dressing
moment
like
where I was
Merlin.
into $10, $20 scratchers.
That's fucking.
That's
crazy.
exactly what I buy.
And-
$10 or $20, and it gets you. Oh, they
My
suck.
friend would win.
$20?
Yeah, we would get like 6 or 7. My friend and I would scratch them off. He would win $200 every time I win like $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, I don't know. You got to start breaking stuff down too, where it's like, I'm buying a beer for $6 or I'm buying a scratch off for 10. Like you're wasting your money either way.
Yeah,
It's
but
just how do
sometimes you can hit. I mean, it's gambling. You know, I'll tell you what's funny is I got some decent relationships with some of the Indian guys and the clerks, and they're just buddies I've just bullshitting with. But I'll go in and they'll give me one. I'll say, the last 5 were losers, and then I'll hold one for me. And that's always key. That's
you're
Oh,
making
yeah, that's
friends.
good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. What's up
you're
with
a
all-
degenerate when like the store guys are all
I
holding
know
lotto
you.
tickets for you.
What's with all the sport betting going on? Is there any kind of way of real estate setting up new, or is it all established? It's Monmouth Racetrack, Atlantic City. Is there any gambling type deals going on? Is Atlantic City going to be popping off at any point?
I mean, as a sports gambler, I would tell you, Atlantic City now you have that all set up. I mean, that's a big thing now.
Have you ever done any deals or anything down there?
In Atlantic City?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm working on that deal now. That's down south in Clementon.
Where the hell's that?
It's like Route 30, White Horse Pike,
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, White Horse Pike goes like all over the place.
all over. AC's a crazy spot.
I one of the I did Pat Fasano was on here, interviewed him. He's opening up in Atlantic City as the Bure, and he's opening up Bond Street Bar number 2 down there. So
What's his name?
Pat Fasano. He does development in Asbury Park.
Yeah, it sounds so familiar.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of deals. You should listen to that podcast. It's pretty good. All
Why don't you
right.
tell them where you can hear it?
Well, totallylocalpodcast.com. And if you have any questions, you could email us at totallylocalpodcast@ok7.us. I was gonna have Ming put all this on the credits, but Ming has something else to do. So
Ming's not here.
Yeah.
How are we gonna close the show? Somebody gonna have to actually
I'm
get
gonna
up
have to get up. And run really
That
fast.
is a cool dude. This is an interesting setup.
Oh yeah, he's an entrepreneur. He's doing it. People were coming in asking him questions while we were sitting here getting ready. So people love to podcast.
This is a great episode. I do miss him though. I miss our producer pulling up stuff on the screens, and
we need to hire. If anyone out there is looking for a job where I will pay you nothing, and you want to come in here and help us and just put stuff on the screen, you can't have a mic though. I don't want any kind of
No
we gotta have a
interference.
delineation.
Right.
If we start talking aliens, I'm going to need you to fact check me on that. Screen.
Yeah, that's what
we're
he would do. He would pull it up, and I would mention something. He'd pull up the image, so
That's
I know
what
what
I
I'm
want.
talking about.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was doing over the week. I was researching the Wananake. I don't know if I say Wanake. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's in New Jersey. Wanake Reservoir.
Isn't it like Anunnaki?
Anunnaki is
I know that.
race.
No. There's a place in New Jersey. It's the Wanake Reservoir, and there was a huge. I mean, it was all Indian at some point. I think in the 50s or whenever the hell it was, there was a huge UFO sighting in New Jersey, huge by all these different people, and those are the things that I'm interested in. Is like. It's verifiable. There's all these people that saw it. It was back in the day when people didn't know what the hell was going on. There's no CGI or drones. So how could they make something happen? And don't tell me it's swamp gas. I don't want to hear it's swamp gas. And that's what one of the things they said.
I legit just watched last night. There was a new show that came on called Project Blue Book.
In the History Channel,
History
right?
Channel. Great. And it's the show was pretty good, but that whole form of the government that had that project, that they ran that for years. I mean, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of cases.
And they had it. It was a government set up project or whatever you want to call it, government run, where they're reviewing all these cases, and there's some of the cases where they're like they didn't have an explanation for it.
The explanation is
so I don't know why.
That's the explanation.
I don't know why people are so it's ingrained in them to be like, no, that's impossible.
No, it's coming soon. You see when Trump a couple months ago had announced that they're doing the Space Force. That's all preemptive kind of.
We're already up there, man.
Yeah, you got to condition the people before you do things. You can't just come out and say, we've been lying to you for 30 years.
Right.
We told you were crazy for 30 years. Oh, we're sorry. We were kidding.
You start to go down this black hole, though, and it does get into a place where you're like, I don't know. The whole lizard people thing, I'm like, I can't go down that road.
Back to the lizards, huh?
The lizard
people.
the
lizards.
That's maybe there's lizard people.
Well, that's where it all leads. You get to the end of the road, and there's lizard people.
A good producer would be playing Lizards by Fish right now.
The other thing too, I was listening to I don't want to I don't get political. UFOs are crazy, so I know people are either interested or they think I'm wacko more so than ever. But I was listening to the news and they were saying how China landed on the
dark side of the moon,
and I just started laughing. I'm like, it's complete bullshit. Who gives a crap? There's got to be moon bases. It doesn't make any sense why there wouldn't be bases on the moon at this point.
Listen,
why wouldn't there be bases on the moon at this point? But why?
There definitely are.
But why wouldn't anyone think to be like, there's got to be?
Nah, we live in a fragile time. People are fragile. Our society is. Listen, they would freak out over anything.
I don't know why.
You can't just come out and do that. People, there'll be a breakdown of social services.
But what is the excuse they give to have the International Space Station, which seems a lot more work and more dangerous than just putting it on a friggin' moon? Why wouldn't they just put it on the moon?
Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean, a base on the moon?
A base on the moon?
Like a base of what?
Like a building on the moon.
We have a base on the moon already. Trust me. I'll give you the greatest example. Ready? When did we go to the moon? In the 60s, 62?
Something like that, yeah.
Here's the easiest way to look at it. Now, people will always say, that was fake. We faked the moon landing. All right, great. Whatever you want to say, I would tell you that's fine. But here's how I would look at it. Our government is not videotaping something the first time they're doing it and broadcasting it to the public live. Mm-hmm. So trust me that the first time that we landed on the moon and they videotaped it, that wasn't their shining first time. They wouldn't do it that way. The government would never ever allow that. So when it comes to what they're doing and what they're actually releasing to the public, how do you go to the moon 60 years ago and not go back?
Yeah.
Friggin' Richard Branson sending people to the moon, and we say we can't now. It's just a matter of believing what they're gonna dish out to you. But I gotta believe that if they're videoing, if they're streaming a video of them doing something so monumental, there's no chance that they're doing it in a circumstance that it's the first time they did it. They would never. This is the government.
So what do you think this Space Force is about?
I mean, the Space Force, I think, is going to be a way that they're going to have to basically ease the public into what's going on. That they're going to, I mean, look, in a couple of years, we're going to be on Mars in a couple of years. Friggin' Elon Musk is doing more things in the last 3 years than we've done in decades, you know? So there's a certain point where once private industry gets into it, and they're starting now to be, I mean, surpass certain things. I mean, some of these companies are now hired by governments to drive people to the International Space Station. So when you get the public or you get a personal company that's out there doing these kind of things, eventually there's only so much you can keep under wraps.
The sad part to me is that I think the ultimate end game is for old rich people to get the hell off of Earth and go somewhere better, which basically means that old rich people don't care about what's going on the Earth, and I'm going to be sitting here in a toxic waste dump while people are drinking Mai Tais on friggin' Mars or somewhere, you know?
Hey.
But I'll stay, you know, I'm from Highland, so I'm staying in Monmouth County till I die.
That's it.
It won't. It sounds like it'll be sooner than rather than later.
But yeah, I guess that's a good way without getting, you know, we don't want to go too far into the weeds.
No, that's it.
And, you know, without going further into, you know, if I can mention lizard people one more time, I don't want them to catch us talking about them on the Facebook.
You better watch they don't come after you talking about them so much.
That's about it we got for the podcast. At this point, we'd be playing an outro song, but we don't have it.
God, I don't even get an exit song either.
It'll all be in post. Don't worry. As always,
Dance around. They hear it when they're watching and listening because we edited it in.
As always, I'd like to thank Leo, my co-host, and our special guest, who I'd love to have back on whenever you're available.
Come back. Leo, pleasure, buddy.
Awesome. Very much. Thank you very
pleasure.
much.
Really nice to meet you.
Totally Local Podcast, everybody. Till next time, I'm going to scooch over there and turn it off real quick.
Thanks
for
everybody.
having
Happy
me.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
How do I turn it off?
Great.
Everybody run. Oh, wow.
This dude has some cool stuff in this place.
There we go.